do.
I saw that Gabe joined the chat as well. Gabe, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good. Yeah.
Gabe, I need to know what you're working on. What's like the new thing?
I don't know. I haven't been doing a lot of stuff, but I have been messing around with the viewport denoising.
Saw that.
Saw
That's
your
cool.
shotgun.
Yeah, I think it's really powerful because cycles as as raster engines will get more realistic. Path traced engines like cycles are also going to get faster, which is something that I've noticed. Until eventually they're going to be very, very similar. But I still think that a raster engine may never quite equate to the realism that a path trace engine will bring. Like, it may come close, but in the end, it's really just faking things while a path traced engine is calculating real light bounces. So I think the fact that they're just getting faster is really, really cool.
I don't know if you guys already talked about this, but you know EV motion blur is a thing now? Talking about rasters.
Yeah.
Is it? I didn't know.
It is. Now there's motion
3D.
blur in EV.
Yeah,
You know,
3D
get rid of-
motion blur.
Haven't like had a proper look at it though.
Yeah,
Yeah, I
cycle
haven't messed
way
with
too
that
slow.
too much.
Go ahead. I don't know who was talking.
Motion blur's always interested me. I've always removed it from games that I've played. Obviously, you can't remove it from films, and it's kind of trying to emulate, I presume, the sort of cinematic style of blurring between the scenes. Personally, I hate that sort of style. I don't want it to go the other way and be what they call like a TV style, sort of that 60 frames per second type.
Oh, that sports mode stuff. Oh god, that's cute. Yeah,
I don't like that either. But
I love it.
I would really like to see some examples of where motion blur really does add to a scene and not just makes everything smudgy so you can't work it out. Unless that's the key to having low detailed assets, motion blur.
Well, I think part of it has to do with just a lot of people overdoing it. Like, this happens with a lot of stuff. Like, it looks good when it's subtle, but as soon as like you start adding too much of it, your scene just sort of falls apart. And I feel like motion blur is overdone quite a bit when it's used.
That's probably the same as screen space reflections. I've seen so many scenes. And I think there was a game a few years back. Was it Wolfenstein, the remake of it? When it came out, it was just like, we've discovered specularity in the graphics pipeline. Let's dump it into everything.
We're like bricks were reflective or something.
Yeah, everything was that kind of Victorian glossed tile effect on everything.
Hey, look, there's a squirrel. Oh, it's gone.
Guys, CG Matter transformed into a squirrel.
Yep. Oh, they chasing.
Squirrel
okay.
will be
The chase is on. Squirrel.
Beware the squirrels with friendliness, man. They got rabies.
Mm.
But yeah, it's like lens flare in Photoshop. Like that was the thing like years ago. Where like put lens flare on everything. And it was like,
Yeah. Or chromatic
I think it even made-
aberration.
A lot of
Chromatic aberration.
chromatic aberration, bloom.
Yeah.
Yep.
Personally,
Boom.
solution to do extra realism. Yeah, it smudges everything, but that's the point. You put in less work, well, this is how things look like in real life. Same reason why I put depth of field, just to hide everything in the background.
Yeah.
You know, the bloom.
I'm guilty of using way too strong depth of field too.
Yeah, I was gonna say, when people have put like cycles versus EV comparison renders on Twitter, they think it looks so good, but like the first thing I look for is the bloom, because EV bloom is so recognizable. You can just immediately tell, right, that's the one. I'm sorry, you shouldn't use it.
But cycles, you have to do it in the compositor, which is annoying.
Yeah.
You have to do glare and fog glow, and then wait for it to render. So I can't.
You can take a bloom pass out of Eevee, and bloom is bloom. It's screen space over everything. So if you fake it well enough, you can take bloom and have it as its own pass. I did a video on it, and like nobody watched it because I don't think people understood what the heck I was talking about, or maybe they just didn't care. But you could take bloom out of a pass, so you can write it out into an EXR layer, and then you have it. So then you can use it instead of the glare node. And the cool thing is it renders a whole lot faster than that glare node renders. So it's a good cheat. So if you use it right and you use it well, you can cheat it. And honestly, after watching the Star Trek remakes with J.J. Abrams and Andrew Kramer and putting it all like those CinemaScope style lens flares on everything, like you could just honestly, like, you do whatever you want now. Like I went to a VFX Society speech here in LA a few years ago. It was awesome. Like Dennis Murin was there from ILM, John Dykstra, John Knoll, like super, like people who could basically do anything in film now. Like they could throw any shot at these guys and they'll know how to do it. And they were talking about, you know, the lens flare streaks, those blue lens flare streaks, and they were saying, like, you know, they did it on, they got those streaks on, I think it was Close Encounters of the Third Kind, because they were using CinemaScope. So they were using like these highly like anamorphic lenses that stretch everything out when you go and you stretch back out, for lack of better terminology and getting into the weeds here. But they were saying like that's the effect you get. So like putting that on like normal footage is like, that's not, the cameras don't do that. It's not real. So it was funny the way they were talking about it. I can't make it as funny as those guys were talking. When they were talking, they were saying, "Oh, it was hilarious," but they weren't ripping on JJ or anything. I mean, his work is phenomenal, and so is Andrew Kramer's work. It's absolutely astounding. But that lens flare thing just started showing up everywhere because JJ put it in the movies, and like everyone started using it, and it's like, wow, it's overkill. So
yeah.
So that kind of brings me to think about sort of, because you said like, yeah, that's not how cameras actually work, but it's made me think about sort of like an artistic view versus a realistic view, because sometimes something may not be realistic at all, but it might look really cool, and so sometimes it's important to just ditch realism and come to something that looks just more pleasing to look at.
You're right, and that comes into the whole photo surrealism aspect of movies and games and art. And you're right, you're absolutely right. If something looks cool, use it. If you're the director or you're creating something and that's what you want, then use it. Yeah, you're gonna have purists call you out for it. They're gonna be like, it's not the right lens. You would never do that. But like, okay, that's cool, but it's not your art. So don't look at my art and don't like my stuff. I don't care. Like, so, because I have like 10 other people that do like my stuff and they do like that. So it's like, it's subjective. Art is subjective.
Yeah.
There's also what the audience might be expecting as well. So I don't know what a camera would really look like as you go on sunrise, you know, the globe in front of you, it's a space scene and you're just about to have the sun appear over that. I don't know what any of that would realistically look like, but there's an expectation that there would be a huge lens flare because that's what we've been trained to see through all the films we've seen. So sometimes you've got to kind of fall in line with what's expected, even if it's wrong, because if it was right, it would look wrong.
Yeah.
Which is a good...
I want to jump in, because do you remember the Falcon Heavy launch from SpaceX?
Yes.
And when they finally got the shot where you could see the Starman sitting in the Tesla Roadster, and like with the Earth in the background, so many people were like, it looks fake, it looks fake. It was like, that's what it's like. It's so real, but it's so strange that it looks completely fake, you know? So so sometimes real life is like that, but we're just not used to, you know, seeing it.
Yep. I did a video where I put a UFO over downtown LA, and it was a compositing video, and a bunch of people liked it, but they were all like, where's the shadow over LA? And I'm like, well, do you see where the sun is? And like where the sun is, it would not be casting a shadow at all over the ground in LA, but you're expecting to see it.
Yeah,
so I got called out a lot on it, and it's like, you know, and I got it, and it clicked in a heartbeat. I was like, wow, you're actually expecting to see it, so you might as well just put it in there if people are expecting to see it, even though the light source and the angle totally wouldn't cast a shadow over there. Like it would have put the shadow like over Malibu from where it was, but that's just, you're expecting to see it.
Yeah. And they put in all these videos of conspiracies. Look at this launch. Look at it. It's faked. It's on a movie set. The Earth is actually Then all these conspiracies come out, and it's like, no, it's just how it looks.
Some of them are.
It is.
Some of them are so stupid. There was one that really annoyed me. I think it was a picture taken from the moon, and you could see the Earth in the background. and they were like, okay, zoom in around the Earth. Look, there's all these weird artifacts there. You can see where they've like put an image of the Earth in, and we're just like, those are JPEG artifacts. You twat.
Exactly.
It's been resaved. It's been compressed, and they've overexposed the image to try and show off these artifacts, and they're just traditional JPEG artifacts. And you're like,
the armchair activists. That's what I call them.
Yeah.
Armchair activists. They are, and it's strange. They think we faked the moon landing because you don't see stars on those shots of the moon. I'm like, the reason you don't see stars on those shots of the moon is because there's so much reflected light coming off that you're just, the cameras they were using, it's just not picking up the subtle stars.
It's the same reason we don't see the stars during the daytime.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, there's no space. Look, the sky's blue. It's just blue out there. No. Scattered.
Going back to SpaceX, I remember I'm a big Kerbal Space Program fan.
Yes.
Cool.
And I remember when I was talking to some friends who know very little about space, and what SpaceX has done is really popularized space travel, and you get the rocket plume as it goes up and up and up and up. They're like, why is it not a jet anymore? It's like, because there's no air pressure up there. But it's kind of obvious to someone who knows what it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
But then when you look at it and you're like, well, in all the films I've seen, it comes out as a jet. I went, nope, not how it happens.
Also, and all this expectation versus reality stuff doesn't just apply to like visual things. It also applies to audio and other stuff. Like, I always think about that, like, if you watch Star Wars and they're shooting in space and the ships explode, it's like, wait, but there's no sound in space. How do you hear that?
Yeah.
But, if there wasn't any sound, it'd be less fun to watch.
Exactly.
I think The Expanse does that really well. They try and, it's kind of a hard sci-fi sort of approach on it, where they try and do things realistically. Like, if you turn around and thrust in that direction very aggressively, everybody dies.
Yeah.
It's
it was
all
like,
about
have anyone here seen Avenue 5 on HBO? Nobody? There's a scene in Avenue 5 where they somebody dies and they eject the coffin, but it doesn't go very far, and it gets caught in the gravity well of the ship, and it starts like the coffin starts orbiting around the ship. It's like,
oh no!
I was like, I know it doesn't have enough inertia when they ejected it, so it's like it just starts like orbiting around. It was the funniest thing ever. You just bend rules and break rules. Like I do a lot of engineering visualization stuff, and there's always the concept of notional versus real. And a lot of times for the marketing stuff, we have to go notional, because to show the real stuff, you just can't. You can't show it. There's no way of visualizing the real stuff and having it tell a story. So you have to like make stuff up and go notional. And then you always have to tell, if somebody's briefing somebody and talking about it or doing a presentation, they're always going to have to say, all right, well, you know what, this is notional. And they use the word notional, and it's like suspend disbelief in a movie, and you can just get away with it, and then you can break rules because you're telling a story.
Yeah, but then if things look too unrealistic, then it just looks bad. So it's all about finding like that right balance between realism and artistic representation.
You have
to look
to
as good as you can.
You have to. You can't do something that's completely implausible.
I did a series quite early on with the YouTube videos, which was robotic design. It was like a hard surface thing, but it was more about the design.
I watched that.
And so it was me showing the design of two different types of robot arms, because I have a fair amount of experience working with them. One of them was realistic, so you could see exactly where the joints would go. It was quite like an encased design, but it was quite simple and fairly boring to look at. And the other one was completely unrealistic, but it was really interesting to look at, because it had all this like fake synthetic muscle type stuff going around on all these wires. And the whole point of the videos was to say, look, form versus function. Like, always keep this in mind. There's no right way or wrong way to do things. Because I remember looking at arguments. I remember people were arguing about, who's the better artist? Well, Vitaly Bulgarov pays more attention to like the joints of robotic things, so he's more realistic, so he's clearly the better artist than this other person. I'm like, shut up. Like that's not how it works. Okay, be aware. Like, how far do you want to go? Form versus function. And I remember, like, even after all of that, I still got some weird comments. I think I got one person that was like, yeah, but how does this arm bend? Like, on the one that wasn't supposed to be realistic. And I'm like, look, you've missed the point. That's not the point. But whatever.
Yes.
But yeah.
Hey, real quick, I got to roll, guys. I got to be somewhere at 5, so I'll catch you guys next week. Sorry it's so sudden, but
that's okay.
That's cool.
It's cool, Josh. Take care.
Yeah.
See you guys.
Bye. We do actually have nearly 1.5 hours on the recording, so
wow.
And we've really got a surplus anyways, so anyone's free to just disappear whenever.
Bye.
Oh, are they going?
No. I was kidding, but I did want to ask if any of you have seen what visual effect have you seen recently that was really well done that kind of blew your mind and made you and re-inspired you to work on the things that you're working on?
Oh,
I actually have an answer for this. So I've been watching the series Tales from the Loop, and oh my god, just like some of the things where you get like the houses disintegrating going upwards, and then some of the hard surface stuff with robots. It's beautiful. It's so just like stunning.
So that I've been meaning to watch that. It's inspired. It's inspired by the artist, Simon Stonehag, and I'm a huge fan of his work. It's really incredible. Yeah, Curtis has the books.
I haven't watched it yet.
What is that? What's that on?
That's on Amazon, I think.
Amazon, Amazon Prime.
Is it on Amazon?
Yeah,
all right, I gotta check it out. Now I'm intrigued.
I've just googled it. Yeah, that's on my list. Straight away.
Yeah.
What's the name of it?
Tales from the Loop.
Tales from the Loop. I have to take a break from Shameless. Oh man.
Yeah, Simon.
That's awesome.
Simon Stonehag is, I think, one of my favorite artists ever. It's just really cool.
Same here. I think I actually saw a tweet by him. He actually used Blender to like block out a scene and get like all the perspective and stuff right before he started painting. I was like, hey, he uses Blender. That's cool.
Awesome.
That's an awesome use for a 3D package, though. You wouldn't even think, well, you might do if you've done it before, but from a beginner's perspective, again, that's a great extra use of being, if you're struggling with perspective, well, why not use a 3D program to get it all there with your block shapes, even if it is cubes and cylinders?
You can do the whole thing in Blender. Just do your whole box in, and then grab a grease pencil, set it to draw on the surface, and then you can just like draw over everything, move it around, and like reframe, relight all of your drawings.
I really love his
paintings.
Well, yeah, because there's such a good blend between being realistic and sort of somber and dark, but also sci-fi at the same time. So there's lots of like really mundane things. So like, you know, a kid just standing by a house, and it's you know, supposed to be inspired by his childhood in, you know, Sweden and stuff. And you're like, okay, that's kind of mundane, but still nice. But then in the background, there's like some super high tech, like Blade Runner-esque type thing going on, and you're like, interesting juxtaposition.
I really like the way he blends sort of like hard surface, like sci-fi and stuff, with like organic and nature-y things with like the aliens and all that stuff. I think it's a really cool style that he pulls off really well.
Yeah, because usually people go like one way or the other. They're like, okay, let's make a super sci-fi piece of artwork, or like, you know, just something that's really still life, but not often somewhere right in the middle.
That's what I liked about the Giger stuff. But that's Actually, have you guys seen the there's a Isaac Asimov's Foundation series coming to Apple TV. Have you seen the trailer for that?
No, yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, insane. If Isaac Asimov wrote a series called Foundation, which is phenomenal, and I just watching this trailer there's a planet called Trantor, which is basically like a big city, and probably where Lucas got the idea for Coruscant, and it's just astounding. That really blew my mind lately, very very recently, in like the last week.
Yeah,
you guys should check it out. I'll post it on the Discord later, and you guys can all see it. It's wild.
Yeah, 22nd of June was when the trailer came out.
Wow. Yeah, so it was fairly recently.
A
few days ago, 6 days ago. No? Yeah, it's just, man. I mean, it was basically like Pulp Fiction. It was not like a whole. It was like a series that he wrote over time. But man, it looks good. That and his Dark Materials, the work that Framestore in particular did on his Dark Materials with the Yorick, the armored bear, just outrageously good. So much personality.
I saw the Corvo review where
you saw that
reviewed his Dark Materials, and they were like breaking it down and stuff. It was really cool.
Oh yeah, that they're doing some phenomenal work over there.
Yeah,
other studios are too, obviously, but man, like the Yorick was just the emotion in that bear was so good. Just blew me away.
Hey, did you guys hear about the new Blade Runner anime that was announced?
Oh
no.
So they're making a Blade Runner anime. It's by, I can't remember the name of the studio who's making it, but it's gonna release in 2022. But a lot of people are hyped for it because this studio is like known to make a lot of really cool animes.
Is this
and I'm personally pretty excited.
Is this based off, because before 2049 came out, they did a few shorts, and one of them was an animated one. Is this based on?
Wait, no, not Blade Runner. What am I saying? I meant Cyberpunk.
I was about to mention the Cyberpunk one. Yeah.
So it's a Cyberpunk anime. It's in the same universe as 2077, I think. Yeah.
Wow.
I don't know why I said Blade Runner. Two kind of similar genres, I guess.
Well, Blade Runner and Cyberpunk are pretty much the same universe by the looks of things.
Pretty much
the same sort of genre.
Kind of defined it almost.
But yeah, it's a Cyberpunk anime, and I'm pretty excited for it because the studio who's made it, they're known for like a couple stuff.
Yeah, nice. And they've got new gameplay for Cyberpunk that they've just released as well, I think. So I need to watch that.
It's awesome.
It does look phenomenal.
Yeah.
What they're managing to eke out of current gen hardware as well.
Yes.
Yeah.